والروح والريحان يا دائم الترتيل للذكر والتنزيل بشراك يوم ريحان يا دائم الترتيل للذكر والتنزيل بشراك يوم بك السماوات ريحان يا دائم الترتيل للذكر والتنزيل بشراك يوم بك السماوات ريحان يا دائم الترتيل الأكوان يا حامل القرآن يا حامل القرآن يا حامل القرآن يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان والروح والريحان يا حامل القرآن قد خصك الرحمن بالفضل والتيجان والروح والريحان يا دائم الترتيل للذكر والتنزيل بشراك يوم رحيل ستفوز بالغفران يا قارئ الآيات في الجمع والخلوات تزهو بك السماوات وتنتشي الأكوان يا حامل القرآن يا حامل القرآن يا حامل القرآن.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Sisters, can you all hear me? Yes.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, sister, we can hear you. I mean, I can hear you.
Okay, alhamdulillah, it's clear, yes? Okay, inshallah, let's begin. نحمد ونصلي على رسوله الكريم فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربنا زدنا علما اللهم انفعني بما علمتني وعلمني ما ينفع وزدني علما بسم الله. Okay, alhamdulillah. Let me start the recording.
Assalamu alaikum, sister. Sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. Can you please
Yes.
increase?
Sorry, yes, tell me.
If you can please increase your volume because it's coming really low. Even the last two classes also. In fact, I had messaged in the chat.
I will let me fix this because I think my audio is very low. Just give me one second.
Yeah, that's what. Yes.
How do we go? Input to volume. Okay, how is it now? Is it better? Yes.
Alhamdulillah. Very good. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. So I just increase my microphone. Okay, Alhamdulillah. Yes, inshallah. Let's start. Bismillah. So welcome to you all, sisters. Alhamdulillah for completing our orientation. Then, of course, our day one, and Alhamdulillah, today we are in our day three for the science of Tajweed. Yes, inshallah. So let's begin. I hope you all have seen the day two recording, or at least have joined live, or at least have seen the recording, inshallah, because it's important for you to go to the last lesson, because we will be building up, gradually, inshallah. So do not miss any previous lesson, inshallah, because then you will miss few topics which might be used in upcoming classes, inshallah. So let's start with our day three for the science of Tajweed. Yes, and as we always begin our anything that we do with sincere intention, that we are doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we remember all of those things that Alhamdulillah we did in our day one, inshallah. So with that, let's start today's class. And the topics that we are going to discuss today is we are still in the introduction chapter. Okay. And I believe if you all remember last week what we discussed, inshallah, we'll gradually go ahead with that. And today we are going to discuss about the speeds of recitation, because last week we discussed about all the what you say, the definition of tajweed, the 10 principles that we need to know in tajweed, all of those things. And inshallah today we will start with our topics like what should be the speeds of recitation, what are mistakes, like what are the different types of mistakes that can be. Then the first topic about learning from the Quran is, of course, the ruling of isti'adha and basmala, and the different ways how we can read them together. Okay, so let's start. We will discuss these four topics today. Um, yes, so within the introduction, this is our fourth topic, that is about the speeds or the types of recitation. Okay. Recitation, basically the way how we recite the Quran. Okay, so when we talk about the different types of recitation, what what is there is the recitation are has three speeds. Okay, there are three speeds of recitation. Now, what are these three? These three speeds, as given by scholars, is tahqiq, tadweer, and hadar. Okay, you all can make notes of these. Tahqiq, tadweer, and hadar are the three speeds of recitation. Now, what we mean by them? Tahqiq basically is reading the Quran slowly. Okay, reading the Quran slowly and giving each letter its right and dues, and understanding the meanings. Okay. Basically, it's a slow pace. Okay, it's a slow pace, and you read each letter clearly, giving it its right, calmly, trying to understand, and all of those things. That is tahqiq. Okay, then the opposite of tahqiq is hadar. Hadar means the fast reading, not like we cannot say really fast, a quick mode of reading. Hmm? So it is a fast reading, a quick mode of reading. But what we need to know, we need to take care is that we observe all the tajweed rules. So fast doesn't mean that you just ignore the rules, you just ignore the, proper characteristics of each letter. No, that is not hadar. Hadar basically is a quick mode of reading, observing all the tajweed rules. So these are the two opposites. And then what we have in the middle is the medium pace. The medium pace is reading at a level which is between the tahqiq and hadar, not very slow and not very fast. Okay, so these are the three modes of recitation. Like you see, something which is very slow, something which is very fast, and something which is in between. Tahqiq, tadweer, and hadar. Now the question is, okay, we have these three types of recitation, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran, وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا, that you recite the Quran in a tartil way. Then what is tartil? Yeah, so we will know what is tartil. Okay. Tartil basically means to read distinctly, calmly, in measured tone. Yeah, but we don't have it here. We have tahqiq, tadweer, and hadar. So, and what tartil means, it also means a tajweed of the letters. Tajweed, we already learned the definition: to beautify, to enhance, yeah, to tajweed of the letters, and the knowledge of stops, the knowledge of where to stop and where to begin. That is tartil. And this statement of was is basically associated to Ali radiallahu anhu, but it is not traceable by a chain that we can find. But this is what most of the scholars have defined tartil as also. So, when we say this is tartil, then what we should remember is that this tartil, that is the tajweed of letters and knowing where to stop and start, this should include in all the three types. Yeah, a reader of the Quran cannot do without tartil, no matter what is the speed of her recitation. So, when you are reading in tahqiq, it should have tartil. Yani you should give the tajweed of each letter, know where to stop. Of course, in tahqiq, that is going to be there. Even if you do in the medium pace, you need to make sure you follow all the tajweed rules. You beautify it. You make the tajweed. Yeah. So tartil is here. Even in hadar, even if you are reading fast, like many times from in Ramadan, especially, we try to read it fast. So instead of giving the full mud, we give, but we still have to give what is allowed. Yeah, so you follow the tajweed rules, and tartil is also there in hadar. Okay, alhamdulillah. So these are the three different types of recitation. Best way as a student when you are starting to learn tajweed, and when you are starting to learn a proper recitation, most of our teachers say that you follow the tahqiq way. Yeah, inshallah. Okay, then let's go to our next topic. Yes. Now we will go ahead with our fifth topic, inshallah, that is about mistakes. Okay, mistakes in Arabic is called lahan. Okay, what are the different types of lahan in recitation? Okay, so let's start. And it is an important topic because it like makes you aware of where mistakes can happen, so we avoid them. Yes, inshallah. So first let's know what is lahan. Lahan literally lahan means incorrect pronunciation. Okay, that is the, like we said, we always have two meanings, literal and istilahan. The lugawi, the literal meaning from the language, and the technical meaning, yeah, which is in this science that we are studying. So lughatan, lahan means incorrect pronunciation or mispronouncing. Technically, what lahan means in Tajweed, it is defined as a mistake and deviation. Okay, it's a mistake and deviation from the correctness when reading the Quran. Hmm? So that's a mistake and deviation from correctness when reading the Quran. And mistakes can be found in pronunciation of the letters. For example, instead of alhamdu, you say alhamdu. Yeah, you look at the ha and the ha. So in the word is alhamdu with the ha, but it's read as alhamdu. So that's a mistake in pronunciation. Sometimes we add or drop some letters, then mistakes in haraka. So there are many ways mistakes can be found. Inshallah, we'll discuss them further. So we need to take care of these mistakes. Hmm? So what is lahan? It's a mistake and deviation from correctness. And there are two types of lahan. When we talk about mistakes in reciting the Quran, there are two types. Okay, and this is a small picture to understand this. Look, this one in the center, this straight path, at-tilawatu sahiha. This is the correct tilawa. This is how the tilawa has to be. Then you have this one. This is a lahan. This is a mistake, which is, there are two types we said. Yes. This is the mistake, which is al lahan al jali. Okay, it's called lahan al-jali. It's a clear mistake. You see this part, it's not straight, it is deviated. And what you see over here, clear blocks, yeah, the big stones, and it's so much like curvy and all of those things. So this is a very obvious mistake. Okay, al-lahan al-jali. Then on the left side, you see this is a path. It is slightly twisted, but not that much. And you don't see the big stone, not that many signs. So this is al-lahan al-khafi. Sometimes the mistakes are hidden. They are not very clear. Okay, so one is clear mistake, then others are very like hidden, obscure mistakes, inshallah. So those are the two types of lahan. We will know the definitions of them, inshallah. Lahan al-jali, okay, al-lahan al-jali, like we said, if you remember the picture, it is clear mistakes, okay, and these mistakes occurs in pronunciation that distorts, yani that changes or spoils the pattern or structure of the word. Okay, whether it changes a meaning or not, that's not the concern. It basically changes the structure, pattern, and pronunciation of the word. Yeah, it is very clear. Look at this picture. When you see the sun, when the sky is clear, how will you see the sun? It is going to be so clear, so apparent. Yeah, nothing is going to hide it. So that is what is al-lahan al-jali, very clear. Yeah, it's not hidden. Then the second one we said is lahan al-khafi, the hidden mistakes. Okay, when look at in a cloudy day, how will it be? Would you see the sun? No, it will be very cloudy. Yes, so that is a hidden mistake, and it is more about perfecting the pronunciation. Okay, and it's not so clear that everybody or anybody can pick on that. Okay, inshallah. So we now, inshallah, we try to understand what are the different types of mistakes that we can get in lahan al-jali. Okay, that is a clear mistake. So when you recite the Quran, yeah, when you recite the Quran, we said two types of mistakes. One is very clear. The second one is obscure, not very clear. Okay, so when we come to the clear mistake, okay, the clear mistake can happen in harf, that is in letters, in vowels, in harakat, um, and in kalima. Kalima basically means the whole word, inshallah. So let's see how this happens. Okay. Now, in all of these three, the mistakes can happen when you replace, basically, when you replace a letter with another letter, when you add a letter with another letter, when you remove a letter instead of a letter. Similarly, haraka. You replace it, you add a haraka or you remove a haraka. Same thing with the kalima. Okay, so how? Let's see some examples, inshallah. So when in harf, the lahan jali can happen like we said. Instead of alhamdu, you say alhamdu. Look, it's a small, like for non-Arabs, for us, like we sometimes we might not even notice, okay, what's the difference? But there is a big difference. We are changing a letter. Yeah. Then instead of alim, you say alim, because the ain is very difficult to pronounce. And what is the difference? Yeah, we say what is the difference, but there's a very big difference. If we even know the meaning, what does alim means? Knowledge. Yes, the one knowledgeable. And alim means painful. Yeah, when we learn the meaning of the Quran, that is also important. So you are completely changing the meaning of the word. Look, so it's very important. So this is very obvious mistake. Yani instead of alhamdu, I say alhamdu. It's an obvious mistake. It's a lahan al-jali. Alim. You are changing the complete meaning. So that can happen when you replace a harf with another harf. The second way, by adding. Okay, what did you add? Look here, for example, the word is wala tus'alunna. Wala tus'alunna. But we say wala tus'alunna instead of wala, lam fatha la. Okay, we say wala tus'alunna. So we completely we are adding one letter. We are adding one letter. You are adding an alif, And of course it changes the meaning. Wala tus'alunna, and you will be asked. Surely you are going to be asked. Wala tus'alunna, you will not be asked. It's opposite. So even that haraka, every haraka, you give it its proper timing. Hmm? Otherwise, you can commit lahanjali, which sometimes may completely make give the opposite meaning. Yeah, sometimes even if it doesn't change the meaning, it does not matter. You should not be doing that. Or we said the third way could be by removing wala tamutunna, and do not you all die. Wala tamutunna. And here, if you instead of wala, you say wala tamutunna, and surely you all die. Yani it gives a completely opposite meaning. So that it can also happen like this. Instead of sometimes we omit the mad, but it has a big difference in the meaning. Yeah. So we need to take care of these things. Do not replace, do not add, or do not remove. Yeah. In harf. Similarly, when we say about the haraka, in haraka, how can there be a lahan al jali? By replacing, instead of an'amta, uh, by mistake we say an'amtu. Yeah, and these last harakas, they have a very important role in the sentence. Yeah, if we get the chance to learn about grammar, the Arabic grammar, you will know the importance of the last haraka. Yeah, so it's very important you take care of all the haraka. Don't, instead of fatha, you say kasra or dhamma. Yeah, it has a very big impact on the meaning. Then in haraka, by adding, how can you add a haraka? Look, in this ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah, the word is ahdi. Okay, ahdi. But because we don't know how to make the sakin on the ha, sometimes we say ahadi, ahadi. So that is wrong. You cannot add a haraka instead of sukun, or many times it happens when we try to do extra qalqala. See, we do extra kalkala. We try to when we try to do it extra, we unconsciously we add a fatha. Okay, so we must avoid that and not to make any lahan in that. Then by removing, instead, like for example, this word in ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah 125, baitiya, baitiya. Okay, but we ignore the, because normally we are used to the baiti, we ignore the fatha at the end and we just read it as baiti. So we must be very careful of the haraka, and this is how it can happen in haraka. Then in kalima, in the words, it can be, for example, the ayah Rabbul Arshil Kareem. And there are many ayahs where we have the sifat. Sometimes we have the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, two of them mentioned together. And we always get confused, especially those who are memorizing the Quran, or those who are reading the Quran more frequently. So similar ayahs, we kind of, unconsciously read them. So we must take care of them. So instead of Al Kareem, you say Rabbul Arshil Azim. So take care of that and do not replace a word with another word. Yeah. Then adding, for example, in Surah At-Tawbah, ayah number 100, the ayah is Tajri tahtiha al-anhar. Tajri tahtiha al-anhar. But what are we used to reading? Tajri min tahtiha al-anhar. Right? So unconsciously, whenever you see Tajri tahtiha al-anhar, you will add the min. Okay, but we do not add it. We read the Quran how it was revealed. And by removing, for example, now you read Tajri tahtiha al-anhar, but then many places you find Tajri min tahtiha al-anhar. So you remove the min and you just by mistake maybe you will read Tajri tahtiha al-anhar. So we avoid all of these things by of course, by when we do the tahqiq way, then Alhamdulillah, you won't be facing such issues. And also for the harf, we learn the makharij, we learn all of those things, we learn the timings, yeah, all of those, inshallah, to avoid these very, very obvious mistakes. Yeah. So Alhamdulillah, that is about Lahanjali. And yes, so just a recap, what is Lahanjali? It is clear and obvious mistake, an error which changes the pattern or structure of the word. Whether it changes the meaning or not, that is not the concern. Okay, but if these ways that we did, sorry, where did I go? Okay, yeah, these ways that we learned the mistakes could happen, we avoid them. Okay, and it is very easy for the Lahan Jali. It is really easy for readers of the Quran and also, of course, the scholars to identify. So anybody who is able to read the Quran, who is able to look and understand the Arabic reading, then that person can pick those mistakes. Yeah, that is what is we call Lahan al Jali. And what is the ruling of lahan al jali? Okay, because we need to know if you make such a mistake, then what is the ruling? So it is forbidden. It is haram. Yeah, it is not allowed to make lahan al jali. And if a person falls into clear mistakes, it is considered a sin. Okay, it is considered a sin. So we have to be very, very, very careful about these mistakes. Alhamdulillah. Then we go to the second type of lahan. Which is the second type? We studied lahan al khafi. Yeah, it is deviated but not very obvious. So it is mistakes, lahan al khafi. These are mistakes which are obscure, yani hidden mistakes. Mistakes which are to do with perfecting your pronunciation. Okay, you know the pronunciation, now you are trying to perfect it. And this mistake, lahan al khafi, is identified by skilled experts. Okay, those who have the knowledge of tajweed. So this type of mistakes are called lahan al khafi. Now, lahan al-khafi, like we said, it is an error that relates to the perfect mastery of pronunciation, not to correct. Yani you already know the correct, for example, you know the makhraj of noon, but the gunna is not perfect, yeah? Or you're not doing the rules of the noon and the mim sakina. Okay, so that is perfecting your pronunciation is lahan al-khafi. It can happen in different ways. Okay, we'll know these here. One of the way it can happen is by failure to adjust the length of the mud. Okay, failure to adjust the length of the mud. For example, the mud is 4 counts, yeah, but you make it little less, you make it like, or you make it extra. Okay, sometimes we make these mistakes. So instead of the 6 counts, we make slightly less or something like that. About the timing of the gunna. The timing of the gunna is you need to give us complete gunna because there are different levels of gunna. So the timing is short, or sometimes you make it very fast. So that all is considered as lahan al khafi. Another way which mistake can happen in the hidden way is failure to apply the rules. Yeah, because now you have, like we said, the jali is for anyone. Khafi is for those who have knowledge of tajweed. So now we are learning. Yeah, like for example, what is idgham? The merging. Okay, ikhfa, the hiding of the noon. Yes, and the other rules. So when a person is not applying these rules, of course, because they have not studied, so such mistakes are called as lahan al khafi. Then the third way how lahan al khafi can happen is the lack of skill in characteristics. And now this does not mean the basic characteristic. Okay, the basic characteristics of the letter must be there. But when we call about, for example, a letter is influencing another letter. Okay, for example, you have the word basir. Okay, basir. So basir is with the ba, which is a lighter letter, sod. Okay, sod, which is a heavier letter. But many a times instead of basir, we say basir, ba. Okay, the ba becomes heavy. Okay, the very one word which mostly it's noticed by teacher, sultan. Okay, sultan. But sometimes because we are reading it not unconsciously, we say sultan, the lam becomes heavy. So this type of things, like okay, you make something heavy because something beside it is heavy. Those types of mistakes which happen. These are because the person is not used, the tongue is not used to have that balance. That is lahan al khafi. Yeah, and also here in this failure to adjust the length and timing, also very important thing is incomplete vowels. What we mean by incomplete vowels is the dhamma, especially the dhamma, the kasra, the fatha. You don't give the proper timing. Like for example, for the dhamma, you will not round your lips. The dhamma will never come complete unless you round your lips. Yeah. So, and sometimes like fir'auna, we say fir. No, it is fir, fi, fa, kasra, fi. So, like that, for the lean, okay, Quraish, not Quraish, Resh, no, Rai, like that. So, all of these things will come in beautification, mastery of pronunciation, and these are called Lahan al Khafi. And these are recognized by those who have knowledge of Tajweed or by skilled experts. Okay, Alhamdulillah. So we move ahead, inshallah, with the ruling. Okay, what is the ruling of Lahan al Khafi? We learned the ruling of Lahan al Jali. Now we are learning the ruling of Lahan al Khafi. Now, with this, there is a difference of opinion. Okay, there is a difference of opinion. The earlier scholars, the earlier scholars, they said they were of the opinion that both Jali and Khafi are forbidden. Okay, and it is wajib to be to consider all the Tajweed rules in order to avoid them. Okay, so this is the opinion of the earlier scholars. The latter scholars, the latter scholars, they said it is wajib to consider the tajweed rules that prevents from lahan jali. Okay, that prevents from lahan, that changing the structure, that is wajib. But this one, the lahan al khafi, this is makruh. Basically, this is disliked. Okay, so the latter scholars, they said it is jali is forbidden and khafi is disliked. Okay, so this is the opinion of the two different opinions. Now, I wanted to share with you all this chart about committing to the rulings of Tajweed, okay, for both Lahanjali and Khafi. This I have taken from Dr. Sheikh Ayman's book, and it's very important for us to know, and especially as we are learning. Also, inshallah, if we listen to some of our sisters or we try to correct, we should know what is the ruling, yeah. So, inshallah, I'll go through it quickly because it basically summarizes for you the ruling that the ruling of committing to tajweed. The sheikh, he mentioned, basically he divided the ruling in two ways. One, he said the articulation, yani the makharij, okay, the makharaj of the letters, and then he said the sifat, the characteristics of the letter. Yeah, that's how he divided the ruling. So what he said, the articulation point of the letters when it comes to the makhraj of the letter, okay? When it comes to makhraj, like how do you read a letter? So he said commitment to them is obligatory. Yani it's fard. It is you must commit to the makhraj. And distorting them is absolutely forbidden. Hmm? So makhraj, any mistake in makhraj, any lahan in makhraj, that is forbidden. Okay, that when we say forbidden, it simply it is sinful. Yeah, this is what we need to understand. So the mistakes in makhraj, that is X, not allowed. Okay, it's absolutely forbidden. Now when we come to the sifat, it is further he divided it. When it comes to sifat, there are certain sifat which make the letter become another letter. Okay, so certain sifat which are yani fixed sifat with the letter. Okay, for example, the letter sod. Okay, it has to be heavy, but you say it as seen. Okay, instead of asa, you say asa. They have two different meanings. So, commitment to those characteristics which make the letter become another, okay, when changed, commitment to them is obligatory. Hmm? Commitment to them is obligatory, and distorting them is absolutely forbidden. Okay, so those characteristics which has to be with the letter, you must commit to them. It is obligatory, and if you make a mistake in that, it will be considered as lahan al jali. Now, then there are certain characteristics which are for ornamental and improvement of the letter. Okay, which is for beautification of the letter. So what are they are differentiated in two cases. He further differentiated those improving characteristics in two cases. One is when you read face to face to a teacher. Okay, when you read face to face for approval and oral rehearsal with a teacher, then the person must commit to these extra improving characteristics. Like if you go to a teacher to study, she will make you do the gunna, she will make you do the idgham properly, to make you do the ikhfa properly, and the length of the mududs, everything will be properly. So commitment to them is obligatory when you are doing a face to face reading or oral rehearsal, and distorting them is forbidden because it is lying in the narration. Okay, so it's basically somebody is reading and you are not correcting it, and you have the knowledge, that is not allowed. Yeah, so it is not allowed. But when it comes to usual recitation, now you are reading generally, yeah, in usual recitation from an expert who is aware of the rules, it is scornful on his behalf. Okay, so now you have studied the rules of Tajweed, and of course, when you are trying, that is a different thing. But now you are an expert. When we say expert, yani practiced and well known. So for such a person, it is disliked. Such a person, it is disliked to make such or leave these improving characteristics. And for general Muslims, he has neglected the better way and bears no consequence. Okay. So these are the three main. These three, the forbiddens, avoid them at any case. For the ornamental and improving, okay, if you know, it's disliked for you to leave it. If you do not know, and you are still yani at the learning stage and things like that, there is no consequence on you. Yeah, inshallah, I hope that is clear about the lahan. So inshallah, if you all have any questions, we can take it at the end of the session. So let's move on to our next topic, inshallah. So I hope the previous topic is it okay with all the sisters, inshallah? We can move ahead. Is my speed okay?
Yes, sister. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, inshallah. Okay, let's begin. Then we go to our next topic of today's class, and still in the introduction, inshallah. So we are going to learn now the rules of isti'adha and basmallah. Okay, the rules of isti'adha and basmallah. What is isti'adha? Of course, the rules for seeking refuge, isti'adha, and saying of the basmallah. Okay, let's start. Yes, bismillah. Okay, now first, of course, we always try to understand the definition. So, what is al-isti'adha? Isti'adha, like we said, two meanings, of course, with everything. Linguistically, isti'adha is to seek refuge or protection. Isti'adha is to seek refuge or protection. Technically, what isti'adha means, a statement by which one seeks shelter through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan before reading the Quran. Hmm? So when we talk in terms of recitation, when when your teacher says do ta'awuz, yeah, another word, the verbal form ta'awuz, or the noun isti'adha is to seek refuge through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from shaitan. And where do we find this? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, in Surah An-Nahl, this ayah, فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ, okay, when you read the Quran, فَاسْتَعِذْ, look, here is the word, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. When you read the Quran, seek refuge with Allah from the rejected shaitan. Okay, we have this in the Quran itself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is guiding us. Yeah, He is guiding us, of course, to what is better for us. So that's where we get the isti'adha from. Okay, now how do we do the isti'adha? The question is, okay, you have to do it. How do you do it? Okay, the way to say al isti'adha is chosen by 10, like we said, there are different qaris who from where we take the recitation of the Quran. The chosen way is to say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Okay, what is the meaning? A'udhu, I seek protection. A'udhu billahi, with Allah, min, from, ash-shaytan, ar-rajim. Ash-shaytan, the shaitan, ar-rajim, the cursed one. Yeah, the cursed one. So this is the way how we say we do isti'adha. And this was how the Prophet ﷺ used to say isti'adha, and that is the reason why it is the best chosen way of saying it. Okay. Then are there other ways? Okay. Are there other ways of saying isti'adha? Yes, there are. Some of the other ways you can say is أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. Okay. So we are adding basically the two names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before this. So أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم, or أعوذ بالله العظيم من الشيطان الرجيم, أعوذ بالله العظيم السميع العليم, or the three names. Yeah, so these are some of the other names of other ways of reciting the ta'awuz. Sometimes I have heard sisters just, because sometimes, you say it so in a routine manner that you don't reflect on it. So maybe you can, inshallah, try to sometimes say this way, but this is, of course, the best chosen way. Okay, so we learned the ta'awuz. Okay, now what is the ruling of the isti'adha? Okay, when to read the isti'adha silently and when to read it loudly. Okay, so when it is allowed for you to read it silently, like you read it in your within yourself, not very loudly. And also, sisters, remember, whenever we say silently, especially when it comes to recitation, your lips have to move. Yeah. So it's nothing like in the heart. Your lips have to move. Yeah. That is silent. Okay. The reader is reading silently or alone. For example, you are reading the Quran silently. You are just trying to read it without any like sound, and you are reading it alone. Then that is the time you start with the isti'adha. You also say it silently. If the reading is done by turns, especially when you are in a class, like for example, you are reciting to a teacher and with other students, and you are not the first one. Okay, because of course the first one, she will start with the loud isti'adha, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and then it's your turn, so you say it silently. Okay, you don't need to recite it loudly, unless of course you want the teacher to correct you on that and other things, so that is different. But when it is your general reading, your second, third, fourth in the turn, then no need to say it loudly, you can read it silently. Then if the reader is reciting loudly, but there is no one with him. Okay, so if you are in your house, you are reading your Quran recitation loudly, but there is no one around. Because the reason why we say istiada, of course, we seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, that is one thing. And also, it's a beginning. Yeah, so if to alert people around you, okay, now I'm going to read the Quran. Okay, because it's Arabic. So there has to be a difference between the normal Arabic speech and the Quran. Yes. So when you start with istiada, that gives an alert that okay, now you're going to start your recitation of the Quran. It's not just normal general talk. Okay. So when a reader is reciting loudly, but there is no one around him, that is the time you can read it silently. Also in Salah, when you are praying, whether you are an imam or a follower, whether you are reading the loud Salah like Fajr, Maghrib and Isha, these are the loud Salahs where the imam reads loudly, or silent Salahs like Zohar, Asr. these silent salahs, both the salahs, no need to mention the istiada loudly. You can do it silently. Okay, now these are the ways, some of the ways. Then loudly, when can you say it loudly? If the reader reads the Quran loudly and others are present, okay, who are there to listen to the Quran. So now here we say the istiada loudly, of course, because you are going to start the recitation. So it gives basically an alert. Then if the reader is reading in a group and he or she is the first reciter. So that is, we always start with istiada. Then of course, if the reciter is stopping, now you are reading, okay, you are doing your recitation, and now you stop in the middle and you want to restart your recitation. Then what would you do? Will you do the istiaza again, or you will just start? Okay, there are two rulings in this situation. Okay. So one ruling that you do not have to repeat, and another ruling that yes, you have to repeat. Okay, when does it happen? When you are not, when you are allowed not to repeat. Okay, if your reading is cut off by coughing, sneezing, or talking of something related to your reading. For example, now you are with a teacher, she's correcting your makhraj. Yeah, it is still related to the reading. Or you are finding the meaning of the verse. Now you are reading it yourself, but oh, what is the meaning of this? Because of course we want to reflect, and you stop and you find the meaning of this word. Then all of these things, emergency stops and something related to the reading, you do not need to repeat the istiaza. You do not need, you cough or you sneezed, you continue. Okay, no need to read the istiaza. But if your reading is cut off by any work, yeah, your child came and he or she asked you for something, and okay, now you want to answer or anything, or your friend came and or you are in a halaka sitting in the masjid, and somebody came, okay, assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam, okay, your reading is cut off, it's not related to the Quran. Then of course, when you restart, you seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, then seek refuge and repeat your isti'adha before you begin your reading again. Okay, so these are the two rulings of repeating the isti'adha, inshallah. So that's about isti'adha. And yeah, now we come to basmallah. Okay, what is basmallah? Basmallah basically, we say basmallah, it is the act of saying Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Okay, what is basmallah? It is to say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Okay, in the name of Allah, the most beneficent and most merciful. Okay, so whenever we begin a recitation of the Quran, we do basmallah. We recite Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And it is necessary to read Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim before every surah, like at the beginning of every surah of the Quran, except Surah At-Tawbah. Okay, this is one special surah in the Quran which does not start with Bismillah. Yes. So it is necessary to read Bismillah at the beginning of every surah except for Surah At-Tawbah. And if a reciter wants to read, just give me 1 second, somebody's mic is open. Oh, yes. So, and if this reciter wants to read from the middle of the surah, like now you are not beginning the surah, you are at the middle of the surah, then you have a choice either to start with Bismillah or not. Okay, like you do the ta'awuz and you can either say Bismillah or not. Okay, and there are some reasons noted by the scholars, inshallah, we'll discuss them. So this is the ruling for Bismillah. You recite at the beginning of every surah. Now look, where what you need to pay attention, there are some places in the Quran in which the reader is not allowed to start after Bismillah. Right? You have an option to read Bismillah in between, but there are certain places where it is not allowed, such as the verses that relates to the kuffar or verses that praise against them. Of course, when we say Bismillah, we are asking for the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes. So we don't want that for when it's a prayer against them, or when the hypocrites are being exposed in the Quran, when the hellfire is mentioned, yeah, when any news of the hellfire is mentioned, when the shaitan is mentioned, all of these places we do not want to start with Basmala. For example, these ayahs, Billah, وَقَالُوا اتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ وَلَدًا, and they said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took a walad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took a son. Of course, we don't want to start this ayah with Basmillah, yes? So such ayahs, or ash-shaytanu ya'idukumul faqr, the shaitan promises you al-faqr, poverty. We don't want to start such a verse with basmala, yeah. So it is important, like we said, to also understand, because Quran came as a guidance for us, yeah. It's not just to read, and of course we get reward for that, but what is more important is that you also understand, or reflect, ponder on what you're reading, yeah. So such verses about the hellfire, about such statements, we do not start with basmala. On the other hand, there are some places where you should actually read Basmala. Okay. For example, any verse that begins with the pronoun referring to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Huwa alladhi khalaqakum min teen. So you can read, you can start this with A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Huwa alladhi khalaqakum min teen. And especially, Ayatul Kursi, we always read this at night. Yeah. Allahu la ilaha. That is also like you must start with Bismillah. Yeah. So such things, such places, it is recommended that you start with Basmillah. Okay. So Alhamdulillah, that was about understanding what is Basmillah and what is Isti'adha. Now we will inshallah move. We have 10 minutes, 12 minutes. Okay, inshallah, we'll try to finish it soon. We will inshallah, now just we learned Isti'adha and Basmala. We will now look at the different ways how we can read Isti'adha and Bismillah at the beginning of the surah, and when we read two surahs together, inshallah. So this will finish quickly, inshallah. The ways of reading Isti'adha and Basmala at the beginning of all the surahs except in Surah At-Tawbah. Okay, we always take this surah separately. Inshallah, we'll discuss this surah later. But now, with all the other surahs except Tawbah, there are 4 ways, and these 4 ways are allowed to read Isti'adha and Basmala. Okay, how? Look, the 4 ways are here. Okay, simply, if I want to say, I can say first way, joining all the 3. When I say 3, what does 3 means? Isti'adha. Okay. What is Isti'adha? We learned. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Basmala. What is Basmala? Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Okay. Then now you are starting the surah. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. So one way how you can read these 3 is by joining all 3. Okay. Wasl. Wasl basically means to join. Al-jami'. To join all of them. How will you join all of them? Look, when we say joining, we need to take care of the last haraka here. Look, Bismillah, A'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. Me, here, you join. A'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Okay, mil. So you join all of them. This is one way. You can join all of them and read them together. Another way is join the first 2. Okay. Join the first 2. Wasl al-awwal, qat al-thani. You join the first 2 and you separate the second. Yani separate the third. So you join the Isti'adha with Basmala. I will read A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I stop with the sukoon. Then I say Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. This is allowed. The third way is to join the last 2. That is, you join the Basmala with the surah and you separate the Isti'adha. You will say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Stop. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And you can continue also, of course. So, this is the third way. The fourth way is when you separate all three. You read them. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Stop. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And this is the best way. Okay, this is the best way. All the others are allowed. There is no harm in them. Of course, when you want to read it fast, you can join them together, inshallah. So these are the four ways which you are allowed to read Isti'adha and Bismillah joining with the beginning of the surahs except for Surah Tawbah. Okay, now what about Surah Tawbah? Okay, Surah Tawbah, it is, if you will look into the Mus'haf, it is, I think, the ninth surah, if I remember correctly. It is the ninth surah in the Quran. And you will see that at the beginning of Surah Tawbah, there is no Bismillah written. You will not find it written. Yeah. And now there are different reasons, like mentioned in different places, you will find, okay, why is it not written? Why is it not written? Okay, the main reason which we have to always remember, and the first reason is because it is not written in the Mus'haf. Okay, this is the simple way we can answer this question. Why don't we recite Bismillah before Surah At-Tawbah? It is not written in the Mus'haf. It was not read by the Prophet. He did not instruct us to read Bismillah before the surah. Okay, this is the main reason. Okay. Other things which people like other, we have some hadith from the Sahabas also about this surah, and some scholars they have said that basically Bismillah is read for protection. And Surah At-Tawbah, if you will understand the meaning of this surah, it is not about protection. Okay, this was not the surah for protection, and there is no protection in the surah. It is also known as Al-Bara. So this surah has no protection, and that is why generally it is not. Basically, that is the reason why it is not appropriate to start with Basmala. But anyway, for us, the most important and main reason is that. It's not written in the Mus'haf, and the Prophet did not instruct us to read before this surah. So, what are the ways allowed to start Surah At-Tawbah? Is, of course, you start with Isti'adha, because whenever you read the Quran, you read Isti'adha. So, Isti'adha is there, and two ways: either you separate them, Qatal Jami, or Fasl, or you join both of them. Okay, inshallah. So, this is with Surah At-Tawbah. And now we come to the next thing, the ways of joining two surahs. Now you are reciting one surah and you have Basmala between the surahs, and how do you join it with the next surahs? So now in this, of course, there are four ways like we did in the Isti'adha and Basmala, but here the three ways are allowed and the fourth way is forbidden, it is not allowed. Okay, now let's look at what is allowed. What is allowed is to separate them, all three of them. When I say three of them, that is the last part of the previous surah. Okay, look here. This is Suratul Ikhlas. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Then we see the Basmala. Then we see قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. This is the next surah. Yeah, and normally when we are reciting in the Salah, we end the Fatiha, we say Basmala, and we do the next surah. Yeah, like that. So you can also consider that place. So one way allowed is to to separate all of them. So how will you separate? وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. You stop. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Stop. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. Yeah. So this is you are separating. Then the second allowed way, stopping at the end of the surah, and you join the basmala with the beginning of the next surah. This is allowed. So you say وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Stop. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. See, I said Ar-Rahimi. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. This is allowed. The third way, of course, you join all of them. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. Okay, so this is allowed. Now, what is not allowed is that it is forbidden to join the end of the previous surah with basmala. You are not allowed to join the first two and separate the third. You cannot read like وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ and stop here. Okay, the reason is this way is forbidden because it will give us false impression that basmala is related to the finished surah, like as if it is the last ayah of the previous surah. No, that's not the case. Basically, basmala is the beginning of the next surah. Yeah, so you cannot join the last of the previous surah with basmala and stop and read the new. No, so take care of this because it is important, especially when Salah, because we are so used to Fatiha ending and starting the new surah that it might be a mistake. Yeah, so this is not allowed. These three ways are allowed, Alhamdulillah. And now when we come to these two surahs, the Tawbah and Anfal, yeah, Tawbah we said the surah number I think 9 and Anfal the one before it. So how can we join these two? Because between them there is no Basmallah. Yes, or between all the other surahs there is Bismillah, but in these two there is no Basmallah. Okay, so what you do? Look, there are three ways how you can join these two surahs. First way, al-qat. Qat yani to cut. Okay, yani stop. So you stop here. Okay, inna allaha bikullin shay'in alim. You stop, then bara. You start. This is Surah At-Tawbah. This is the last ayah of Anfal. This is one way you take a breath in between these two. The second way is a sakt. Sakt is a pause without breathing. Okay, it's a short pause. So you're still pausing. Shay'in alim bara'atun. Okay, this is a very short pause. Okay, inna Allah bikulli shay'in alim bara'atun min Allahi. Look, so this is sakt. This is allowed. The third way, of course, is wasl. That is, you can join the last anfal with tawbah. Okay. Inna Allah bi kulli shay'in alimun bara'atun min Allah. Yeah, like that. So wasl, joining both the surahs. Sakt, you pause, take a breathless pause, and qat, yani you can separate them. Okay, so there is no basmallah between these two surahs. So Alhamdulillah, these are the three ways allowed between Anfal and Tawbah, and the rest with the other surahs. Okay, so inshallah, with that, we end the rulings of Isti'adha and Basmallah, and Alhamdulillah, we are right on time. So it's 8. Inshallah, with this, we finish today's topic. And of course, we finished the introduction of starting our, rules of the Tajweed. Of course, Istiad and Basmala is from one of the rules of the Tajweed. But now from the next class, inshallah, we will go into Makharij al-Huruf. We will first understand the letters and then we will learn the Makharij and so on, inshallah. Our journey with this topic will go. Okay, Jazakallahu khairan, sisters. If you all have any questions, inshallah, we can discuss. Or else we can, yes, I will send the attendance form, inshallah. So please fill it once you have heard the, if of course those who have joined live and those who will hear the recording, inshallah, you can do it after that. Yes, if you all have any questions, then we can discuss quickly. Otherwise, I can end the session, inshallah. Or if you have questions, you can ask in the group. That is also fine. Okay, alhamdulillah, my sisters. I hope this is benefiting you all and it's not, yani, I'm trying to keep it concise. Wait, just let me just stop the recording. Okay, alhamdulillah. So yes. Do you all have any questions regarding isti'adha, basmallah, lahan, jali, khafi? I don't know.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes.
I just wanted to know if I stop reading at Surah Anfal. Suppose it happens, so I am reading the Quran. I finish reading Surah Anfal and I cannot proceed with Surah Tawbah. Then what is to be done?
Then you will start a new recitation, yes?
Yeah,
Next time when you start with isti'adha.
and not to recite the basmala.
No, it is not allowed. Look, we did here, na?
Yeah.
So when you start tawbah, you will do isti'adha and you can read the
Okay.
beginning of the surah.
Okay. Thanks. Jazakallah.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Any other sister, inshallah? Okay, Alhamdulillah. So if there are no questions, inshallah, we can end the class. You all can enjoy your weekend, inshallah. And I will see you all next week. Please do make short notes for yourselves. I will share the, inshallah, recording link. So if you've missed any part, you can catch it up later with the recording, inshallah. Okay, Jazakallahu khairan. See you all next week, inshallah. Subhanakallah. بحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته
Walaikum assalam.